Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Broku, and this is another Black Clover chapter review. The review of Black Clover chapter 266 titled Dark Garden Invitation. So, this chapter kind of keeps, as I always say, it picks up where I left off because that's kind of how, weekly series work. They always pick up where they leave off. So yeah, I'm going to just give my review, summary, and analysis of this chapter for this week. And so yeah, that's what we'll get into. But I'm going to remind you guys that I am a online personal trainer. So if you want to get in shape by Coach Brian, then yeah, let me know. I will have a link in the description down below. You can go and you can purchase monthly online training sessions. And it's actually in the near future. I'm probably going to be reducing the price even further. It's already pretty cheap for online personal training, but I'm going to probably cheapen it even more. But that being said, let's just get into this review. So starting off, look at this really cool color spread of Nacht and his 4 devils that he has. Very cool. Really like it. Nacht is building up to be an interesting character, so I'm glad we got a color page for him. So the chapter starts off and they're still, at the meeting. And basically, Julius is using a transmission to talk to Gaja. And Julius is saying that 3 days from now they're going to invade the Spade Kingdom in the early morning hours. And Gaja's like, yep, we'll join the fight as well. We're building, they're building up their strength with the elves. And he says he swears on the honor of the Heart Kingdom that they will retake the queen. They will get Lord Bachika back. And so you get Gaja, who's incredibly pissed off, saying, I will save you no matter what. Then you get Charlotte. She is not going to let Yami die. She looks really determined to get Yami back. And then we flash to the Black Bull's hideout. And now Nacht is relaying the news to the Black Bull, saying 3 days from now we'll marshal the Magic Knights elite and storm the Spade Kingdom. They're all shocked that Nacht is the Vice Captain because they haven't seen him before. And like, where have you been? Nacht's like, I haven't been here because I hate the Black Bulls. And he basically talks about how he hates them because they're a good-for-nothing brigade that does more damage than what their exploits do. They cause more bad than good. Of course, Nacht is just pretty much going off of the old-school Black Bulls and how they acted, because I don't know if Nacht even knows that at the last award ceremony they took 2nd place and basically had what would have been an old record in a different year. So yeah, the Black Bulls are not the squad of, well, they're still a squad of ruffians, but they don't do the damage that they used to do. They are a legit Magic Knight squad, so Nacht is going off old beliefs here. He probably doesn't know the results that they have recently. Now, there's a error from Tabata in this chapter, and this is a 3rd error that Tabata has had. There's 2 in this chapter, so I'll just bring it up and then I'll mention why it is wrong. And not looking good for Tabata lately, but this is what Nacht says. It sounds as though you played a major role in the war 6 months ago, but that doesn't erase your past failures. So Nacht is referring to the Elven War, the war against the elves. That wasn't 6 months ago. So that is a big error by Tabata, and I will explain why as a whole, that, and just give it just go from beginning to end of why that is a error in the timeline by Tabata, but I'm just going to get through the rest of the review. He basically starts shitting on the Black Bulls, calls Vanessa a brazen witch who does nothing but drink. He says that Finral is careless with women and it interferes with his missions. He calls Gauche a ruined noble and a former convict, and he calls basically Magna and Zora delinquents, and he goes etc, 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 because he doesn't want to keep talking about the squads. Now Gray would stand up for them, talking, oh no, they're good people. And then Nacht is like, if you don't want to be judged by the way you look, then don't look like that. And so he says, when nasty-looking people, or those who have done evil, suddenly do something good, that twist tends to make others find them more likable. I hate that. The greatest people are those who are good from the beginning. So, Nacht, I like him, but I still think his attitude on this is absolutely stupid. The Black Bulls were never really bad, I guess. Gauche, was he a convict? Yeah, but it's because he was committing crimes to save his sister because he had to raise her. So, yeah, some weird shit going on there, but yeah, Nacht is still cool so far. And Nacht does admit it is shadow magic, and basically says, I and whatever I'm touching can move from one shadow to another. And Asta's like, oh, so it's like spatial magic, very handy. So that is really a really great application that shadow magic has. It has all this power. It's basically like spatial magic too, that they can teleport through different shadows. Now I wonder, how does Nacht have to have been to these shadows before, or can he just teleport to any shadow? That's what I'm wondering. I hope we get more information on that in the future. And then he takes Asta to this mansion-esque house, and Asta's asking whose house it is, and then he says a certain noble's a former noble, that is, and it shows a picture of this noble family, and it does look like that Nacht is on that picture, that this might be Nacht's old house. And that would be pretty interesting that if this was true, because we do know that Nacht was a part of the Azuridir. He was with Yami, and Jack recognized him, and Jack's like, oh, but he had a different magic type. And then Nacht's like, yeah, that different guy, he's not here anymore, he's not around anymore. So is that person who's crossed off on that portrait, is that like Nacht's brother, and that's who really was a part of the Azuridir? Maybe he has a twin? Or is Nacht still actually himself, or is maybe something else possessing him? He activates a spell called Shadow Magic Dark Garden Invitation, and it almost like teleports him to a different room, or is this a realm? I don't really know. It still looks like it's a room, but they fall through the shadow, and they fall into this really cool looking area with pillars of skulls on it. This room looks really, really cool. But basically, Nacht says for the next 2 days, and that's where the error from the bot is, it should be for the next 3 days. He says, I'll teach you everything I know about devil magic. As a result, you'll grow exponentially. So Asta's going to get way stronger really quickly. And basically, Nacht says, as things stand, you aren't making use of the devil's power. You're only using power that trickles from the devil. What we're about to perform is a devil-binding ritual. You'll make a contract with the devil and make its power your own. It's a forbidden ceremony, but it puts a devil's power at your command. And then he says afterward, they're going to be able to draw out that power as well. He said that this ritual requires a connection to a devil. Ordinarily, they'd use a relic that is linked to the devil, as he has. He has this necklace on. But Asta's connection is already so deep to the devil, his arm and the grimoire, that he's a different story. He doesn't need the item. Now, Nacht says summon, and Asta is maybe like weirdly teleported, because now he doesn't have his arm, and he's looking at the devil, and the devil's like, ha ha ha, look at that. Who would have thought you released me voluntarily? And it looks like he's like merging with Asta. And then Nacht says, you fight the devil and win. So that's like how Asta is supposed to get this power. So Asta's going to have to fight his own devil and win. So I'm sure it'll take maybe multiple times. Like, if he loses, Nacht will bring him back into the normal world, and then they'll put him back in, and then they'll keep fighting over and over again. So it's definitely going to be very interesting that Asta's going to be fighting his own devil. This has already somewhat happened, I guess, when the Black Forest arc, or Witch's Forest arc, when Asta's getting Black Asta, his black form, and he was basically fighting the devil. I wonder if it's going to be something similar, although if you look at in this panel, the devil looks of similar size to Asta, where in that like weird dream state of consciousness or whatever, the devil was a giant compared to Asta. So this is interesting. And when you look at this image, it looks really cool. You know, Asta has the multiple horns, and then Asta has like the devil or elven ear when the devil is basically almost like fully encompassed him. So very interesting stuff going on here. But now I'm going to get back to the timeline and why that is an error by Tabata. We get this statement from the Golden Dawn that Yuno has been in the Golden Dawn for 18 months. And we know that the festival arc was 6 months after Yuno had joined the Golden Dawn. And then we know that basically the tournament was a week after the festival. The Elfin invasion was a few days after the tournament. And then you have the 6-month time skip of the Heart Kingdom to now. Now that leaves only about 12 months, a week, and a few days. So that means that it has to be that between the end of the Elven arc and by the time Asta gets to the Heart Kingdom and does his arc there, then that means that it has to have been a bit under 6 months for this to have been an actual timeline that actually fits together. That means that the festival is 6 months after Asta joined the Brigades. The tournament was a week later. The Elven arc was a few days later after the tournament, and then by the Heart Kingdom that was almost 6 months later. And then you have the time skip, which is 6 months. So Nacht says it's been 6 months since the Elf arc, which literally can't be, because the Elf arc is only like a little bit over 6 months since they joined the brigade. So this is another error by Tabata in his own timeline. So that's 3 errors in recent weeks by Tabata. It's not looking good. This is stuff that shouldn't be that hard to not get right. There were supposed to be like 7 gates in the world, but in the comic there was 9. He said 2 days instead of 3. And now he says that it's been 6 months since they fought in the Elven War. When in reality, it should be nearly 12 months, be like 11 months and some change. So this is 3 errors, 2 in the same chapter, 3 in just a few weeks. Don't know why Tabata is having these things happen. I know that, yeah, mangaka are quite rushed, but still. He's never really been this level of getting stuff, I guess, wrong, getting the timeline wrong. But yeah, you can't have it that Yuno has been in the brigade for 18 months and then that the Elven arc was only 6 months ago from current time. It just does not add up. Like I said, I'm gonna go over it one more time because this still confuses so many people, because to them they just don't understand. So you have the festival arc that is stated to be 6 months after they joined the brigade. Then the tournament is 1 week later. Then the Elf arc is a few days later. And then you have basically the Elf arc taking place over, a couple days? And then you have multiple things that happen after that. You have the trial. Then you have them going to Gordon's parents. And then you have them going to the Heart Kingdom. It has to be that those 3 different little arcs had to have taken place over the course of just under 6 months, or else you can't have it be that Yuno's been in the brigade for 18 months. It just doesn't add up. But with that being said, that's pretty much it for this review, summary, and analysis. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Plus...